Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is a talk video, and we've got ourselves the first marquee character of the new year and the new season of episodes, Omega Fugitive. We're just going to be calling her Fugitive from this point forward. We're going to hit the developer insights and the tips, break down and analyze the kit, then we will wrap up with a review of the gear. Fugitive arrives as a light side support Bad Batch leader. As our new Bad Batch leader means the old Bad Batch squad is completely separate here. The new captive and rescue mechanics are going to have a chance to save an ally from defeat. It's going to be one of the major mechanics of the squad and kit. And Fugitive allows player agency over what benefits abilities provide. That's probably going to become more relevant in future kits. With our tips, emphasize the importance of timing the AoE abilities. Target practice is the main component of damage output, and timing is everything here, which suggests offense only. Squads that require timing tend to fare poorly on defense, but we'll have to test. It could be just very strong with Amis and other considerations. Just AI tends to manage this stuff not quite as well. With our frequently asked questions, most of this we can skip, but the major portion here is about the Bad Batch characters that are coming. They give us Batcher, Merc Hunter, Merc Wrecker, and Crosshair Scarred. This just is part of CG's ongoing pattern now that they will not allow leaks to happen, which means we get everything notified to us preemptively, which this leads into my semi-regular reminder that leak videos I think have harmed the community, because now we have fewer opportunities to speculate upon releases, and that was a lot of fun. I liked doing them, and before I even had a channel, I liked consuming that kind of content, talking with guild members and just having those discussions, thinking about what could happen in the game, and that just doesn't happen anymore. As we head into our kit analysis, this is one of those kits where we have to do it out of order to understand anything. We're going to do leader, unique, then the attack abilities. So with our leadership ability, learn by watching, this is an Omicron ability for Grand Arena. Bad Batch allies have plus 30% crit damage and offense. At the encounter start, all Bad Batch allies gain stealth until the encounter end, excluding the healthiest ally, which can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. And that's in effect going to be a soft taunt. I wouldn't be surprised if Wrecker or whoever just doesn't have a taunt ability at all, and this is how we are getting taunt. It's going to be like how R2 effectively for a long time was a soft taunt character. At the start of each character's turn, the stealth allies are going to recover 0.5% health and protection per Omega's relic amplifier level. Stealth Bad Batch allies can't be critically hit. And this relic amplifier condition, this suggests the squad is going to perform poorly during the farming period. So my gear 11 testing is going to go pretty poorly when we do it. Also during that farming period, we're going to need to be careful if Omega is at full stars and the mercenary wrecker is at 3 stars, because it probably means Omega is going to be the one left out in the open, and that's not going to be what we want. Now we're going to be able to mitigate that during this initial period by throwing in like Bad Batch Wrecker, and he'll be able to get to take that stealth, but it's not going to be the way the squad's intended to function. Over the long term though, this squad will get much better. It's just clearly intended to be relics and even high relics before it's going to really do what it's intended to do. During a Bad Batch ally's turn, whenever a Bad Batch ally damages the same enemy or enemies that were damaged in the previous Bad Batch ally's turn, all Bad Batch allies gain a stack of target practice until the encounter end, or unless they damage a different enemy while the previously damaged enemy is still active. It's phrased a little weird, but remember this target practice condition for the unique and the basic is going to become very relevant. Now the Omicron portion, while in Grand Arena, if there are no GLs and all allies are Bad Batch, whenever an ally is damaged by expose or by an enemy with bonus protection, all enemies receive damage equal to 1% of their max health for each stack of target practice on all allies. This damage can't be evaded and can't defeat enemies. And remember, the insights and tips portion said target practice was going to be the major component of damage. That is Omicron only. Next portion, the stealthed allies are immune to damage over time and plague. Enemies they defeat can't be revived, and they take a bonus turn whenever they are stunned or another ally falls below 100% health. So this is a good Ami. This is one of those function type Amis. It's clearly a no-brainer, and a function type Ami, this is what I mean, where the squad and character will not function as intended without it. It's essentially mandatory in order to utilize the squad. This Ami is going to make several squads just clearly not an option at all as a counter. Radis, no expose, revives, protection up, that's not going to work. Night Sisters are out. Bounty Hunters, no. Trench, even Starkiller are going to be highly unlikely, or they would need to be played very specifically. We're looking at a shrinking pool of options here, which may mean a strong counter will be needed even on defense. That's something we would have to test out. Or they're going to just punch up plenty on offense. They're going to be very desirable offensive counter. And it's not going to take much for a Datacron to make this a very powerful squad. Like we see like with a Starkiller squad or like Third Sister, where just giving them any kind of Datacron tends to make them very OP. This is the type of thing that we may be seeing with this type of squad in the future. And I guess I should clarify, any level 9 Datacron that's intended for the squad, not just any Datacron. Her unique ability, Odd Little Clone Fugitive, has plus 50 speed, and this is important because her base speed is terrible. It's on the order of tanks like Shore Trooper. So that added speed is what is going to make her function as a fairly well sped character, because it throws her into that Shakti or Count Dooku range where they're very easy to get above 300 speed, which is a good marker for thinking of a fast character, but she doesn't get there without the unique. She's still going to appear to be slow when we're just checking her speed stats. This next condition mandates the squad and establish the major mechanic of the kit. If Fugitive is the leader, the first time each ally, Fugitive, Batcher, Merc Hunter, Merc Wrecker, and Crosshair would be defeated, remove all buffs and debuffs, and they are inflicted with 10 stacks of captive until the end of the battle. While captive, they can't be targeted. They are immune to all damage, recovery buffs and debuffs, and they lose 1 stack of captive whenever a Bad Batch ally takes a turn. Captive, that sets the speed to 0, can't bonus attack or gain bonus turn meter, but Bad Batch allies can contribute to the rescue objective. If the rescue objective is met before they lose all stacks of captive, they lose captive, recover 100% health and protection, otherwise they are instantly defeated. If everyone's captive, automatically fail, and the effect persists through defeat. Now the rescue objective, that's gain 30 stacks of target practice, and this was established in the leadership. As allies take turns and target the same enemies who were previously attacked, we're gaining those stacks of target practice, which means if someone is captive, we're going to have an incentive to go after somebody like a tank, because a tank, we can ensure that we're not breaking the chain of attacks and making sure we are contributing towards the condition that is going to accomplish the rescue objective. And this points to the squad being an offense-only squad, because I doubt the AI is going to handle this very well on defense. The other thing I want to consider here is the gain 30 stacks of target practice. They don't really clarify here, is that cumulative over the entire squad because everybody is gaining stacks of target practice, or does a single character need to hit those 30 stacks? Now, everyone's going to hit it at the same point, but effectively, do we need to hit 30 stacks on one character or cumulatively? That's going to make a massive difference, because it means things like, as early in the battle, it's going to be relatively easy to rescue somebody, but as the battle goes on and we start losing allies, accomplishing those conditions where we have fewer allies on the field is going to become more difficult. So that's something I'm going to be watching out for to understand the mechanics of. The basic ability, Energy Crossbow, this is a Zeta ability. Now, that's interesting that we have a Zeta on a basic ability on a marquee character. I'm sure it's happened before, but it's relatively rare, and usually this is reserved for Journey Guide or Conquest level characters. Now the ability, it deals special damage to the target. If any Bad Batch allies are captive, progress their rescue objectives by 5. Otherwise, the healthiest ally without stealth gains crit avoidance. Now, that means Fugitive is going to rapidly progress towards the rescue conditions. If we can call someone to assist, it should be her. The crit avoidance condition, that is going to add to the survivability of the soft taunt that will probably be landing on Wrecker, at least eventually, since the healthiest ally can't stealth. So the crit avoidance is going to be providing some survivability and bringing the anti-crit mechanic that exists on the stealth characters to our ally out in the open. The first special, Big Sister, this is a cooldown of 3 and a Zeta. Cleanse all Bad Batch allies. Target ally recovers 100% protection and an additional 15% protection per Omega's relic amplifier level. This is going to be reduced by 5% per debuff dispelled. For each 1% protection recovery received while that ally has 100% protection, they recover 1% health. And for each 20% health recovery received while that ally has 100% health, they reduce their cooldowns by 1. So this is interesting. Mechanics here suggest we do need to be careful on timing because this ability will be more effective when there are no debuffs to dispel. Since without debuffs, it's more protection, and more protection means more health recovery, and if we hit enough of a threshold, it means we're reducing cooldowns. But that relic amplifier condition likely means the squad won't be particularly strong without relic. We already saw that with the leadership ability. So we have another data point here saying that my gear 11 testing is probably not going to be fruitful. But also watch out for a future cleanse on the squad. We're going to want to use that one before we use this ability to make sure that we remove that condition that is reducing the amount of protection we are getting per debuff dispelled. With our second special, Our Way Out, this is a cooldown of 3. Remove stealth from the healthiest Bad Batch ally, and all other Bad Batch allies gain stealth until the encounter end. Can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Now, since this condition is permanent, what is going on here is if Wrecker, for instance, gets weaker, he can be stealthed and protected. So we have the option for that soft taunt to start hopping around. Or if someone survives captivity and they would have lost stealth, this is going to allow our squad to regain that stealth in that locked condition. Now, if they already had stealth, they instead gain 10% turn meter and an additional 5% turn meter per Omega's relic amplifier level. And all Bad Batch allies gain retribution, riposte, tenacity up. All stealth allies gain advantage, foresight, speed up. Now, these parts I imagine will be the main mechanic of this ability. Once they are under stealth, we're getting a turn meter gain plus a bunch of buffs that's going to just supercharge the squad. And I imagine we're going to see a number of other synergies that are going to occur on this squad when we get these other kits. Because you got to remember, from the old Bad Batch squad, there was a lot of buff synergy where different buffs tied into other buffs, and CG tends to be thematic with these kits where we just start seeing echoes all over the place, and that is something I'm going to be expecting to see more and more as we get more kits here. With our gear, she's fairly average on the low end, where she has 3 Kairos up to gear 11. We got 1 at gear 9, 2 at gear 10, so gear 10 is going to be a choke point on players who have a little bit more trouble accumulating Kairos quickly. Gear 11's easy. Gear 12 though, this is interesting because we have a duality going on here. When it comes to the left side pieces, that's some of the easiest, most rarely used pieces, like visors with the fusion furnace, the tactical data with a Mark 8 design tech. We never get to use those pieces. It's very rare, so most of us are going to have them already. We're going to be able to just slap them on. On the counter side though, we have the duality where the right side's a little bit harder. We got 2 fusion furnaces, we got med packs, we have the Cairo prod. Those are more in-demand pieces. That's going to be a little bit slower. So interesting, there's a balance here, but overall, this character is not that bad when it comes to gear. And with this kit in this new era, it's a good reminder that I need to finish watching Bad Batch Season 3. And I was liking it. I really liked the first couple episodes. Something must have come out like Fallout where I just dropped it. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it. There's a number of characters I'm excited to see that I know are coming. And as far as the Filoni stuff goes, the animated stuff is definitely a level better than the live action stuff. Over the next couple days, though, we have a roster video that we need to be putting out. It's already recorded. We got to edit. And then we got Balin's Skull coming to the game, which I am going to be ready for. So we have more roster work to do in order to accomplish that event. So thank you for watching. Be excellent to each other, everybody. This is Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.